Welcome again to the old principal. I am the old principal. 我就是老校长. And we've come to another lesson. Today's lesson will be number 301. Educating our son. 教导我的儿子. Actually, I have two sons. I have an older son and a younger son. Obviously, if you have two, one's older, one's younger, so that shouldn't be any problem. Well, anyway, we're talking about educating our eldest son. Before we get into this, let's listen to Mrs. Ash read the story. I'm sure that this one will be very, very simple. So we'll have lots of time to do some talking. But before we do, let's listen to the story.
Story 301, Educating Our Son. I was principal of a private high school located out in the countryside. The students came to our school from all over Taiwan and lived in the dormitories. By 1977, our oldest son was 8 years old. It was time for him to begin formal education. Up to this point, Connie had taught him at home. We needed to get John into school. This was a big problem for us because there were no English elementary schools within 200 miles of our home. We had thought about sending him to a Chinese elementary school, but he was already a fluent speaker of Chinese. In fact, sometimes I wondered if his Chinese was better than his English. So with no school and no teacher, we were in a quandary. On a hunch, I called up a friend of mine who was a college professor back in America. I said to him, "Alden, I'm desperate. I need a teacher for my son. Please look around and see what you can find. I will call you this time tomorrow and see what you've come up with." The following day, I called up my friend and was delighted when he said, "I have a young couple, Jim and Sherry, and they are willing to go to Taiwan for 2 years." Jim was about to begin his last year of college, preparing to be a teacher. But his schooling had been so hectic that he was in the throes of full-scale burnout. When he and Sherry heard about this opportunity, they jumped at it. So it was that Jim and Sherry came to southern Taiwan. Since Jim was specifically trained in education, I asked him to teach English at the high school, and Sherry taught our son John for his first and second grades. It was a great ratio, one teacher and one student.
Welcome back. Here we go. I was the principal of a private high school located out in the countryside. Now this is in Taiwan. Keep in mind this is in Taiwan. This is not in America. So this is a private high school. 私立办的一个中学，初中、高中都有。Okay? So it is a private high school, okay, located out in the countryside. Okay, located, 当然 to locate 的位置在 but you would just want to translate 在什么？乡下。So this is out in southern Taiwan, out in the countryside. We had this high school going on. The students came to our school from all over Taiwan. 整个台湾来的学生啊。So they're all over from the north, south, east, and west. And since we were out in the countryside in South Taiwan, they all had to live in 宿舍, dormitories. You have the girls' dormitory and you have the boys' dormitory. So there were dormitories going on. By 1977, our oldest son was 8 years old. 1977. So now you can guess how old he is. You can guess how old he is, okay? It was now time for him to begin his formal education. 应该开始有正规的教育。It was time for him to begin formal. Now, sometimes formal 正式, but in this case, 正规的 a formal education, because his mother had taught him at home. We call that home school. His mother had taught him some at home, but now it was time to begin formal education. Up to this point, 到这个地步, Connie had taught him. Connie is my wife. She's the one who read the story you just heard. Okay. Up to this point, Connie had taught him at home. Actually, nowadays in America, many children are home schooled. That means that the children stay at home and the mothers and fathers and sometimes other people are the teachers. Okay? Going on. We needed to get John into a school. Now remember, I live in what country? That's right, Taiwan. Where do I live in Taiwan? In the south. What part of the south? In the countryside, 乡下. Now, how am I going to find a teacher for him? Let's go on. This was a big problem. It was. 很大的一个问题. Of course, to us, it was. There were no English elementary schools within 200 miles of our house. Okay? 在200英里之内没有英文的小学，用英文教的小学。There's no English elementary schools within 200 miles of our house. So, this is, of course, a big problem. Going on. We thought about sending to a Chinese elementary school. Actually, some parents do that. And maybe it would have been a good idea, I guess, but there was a problem. 这个用中文的这个小学, of course, there were many of them. But he was already a fluent speaker in Chinese. Okay. 他已经讲中文了，讲得很流利. Better than his mother and father. I mean, children are always that way, aren't they? The children seem to pick up a language so fast, so effortlessly. 好像 一点都不难. Where adults, they work. I often tell the joke, when I started studying Chinese, my hair started to fall out. It's hard for adults, but children are easy. So we thought, well, why not? Let's just send him to a Chinese elementary school. But he was already fluent in Chinese, better than his mom and dad, so going on. In fact, 事实上, sometimes I wondered if his Chinese was better than his English. In this case, wondered meaning 不知道, okay? Sometimes 我不知道, 有时候我认为 his Chinese was better than his English. Sometimes, maybe not too often, but I had to use Chinese to explain English. Okay. So, what do you do in a situation like that? With no school and no teacher, we were in a quandary. Have you ever heard of quandary? Have you ever been in a quandary? Quandary, Q-U-A-N-D-R-Y, 左右为难, 左右为难. So a quandary means that you're stuck and you don't know what direction to go because any direction you go is not going to be good. A quandary. Going on. On a hunch. I didn't say lunch. I said hunch. What is a hunch? Okay. The translation in that usually people says 一种直觉. But I would like to say that a hunch is a guess. 是一种猜想. Okay? It's a guess. It usually, a hunch is usually something that comes quickly. 一下子有一种思想. Okay? It's a hunch. And so I called up. I didn't even think about it very much. I called up a friend of mine who was a college professor back in America. 打电话给我在美国的一个朋友. He was a college professor, 大学这个教授. So, this is what I said. I said, Alden, I'm desperate. Now, there are many translations for desperate. So what translation are we going to give? I'm desperate. Okay? I'm hopeless. 没有希望. I am helpless. 没有人帮助我呢. I have a difficulty. 没办法解决的一个困难. I am desperate. There are many different translations, by the way. Going on. I need a teacher for my son. Please look around and see what you can find. I will call you this time tomorrow and see what you've come up with. I need a teacher. Look around and see what you can find. So he's going to look for a teacher for me. Okay. Now, I will call you this time tomorrow. 明天这个时候. This time tomorrow, I will call you back. Now, right now, at this point, I think, wow, that wasn't very much time. It really wasn't. But he really did what he was supposed to do. I should ask him sometime. He's retired also. I should ask him how he did it. But anyway, I will call you this time tomorrow, 明天这个时候, and see what you've come up with. 看你到底找到什么，到底有什么结果。To see what you have come up with. The following day, I called my friend and I was delighted. Now, excuse me, if you're delighted, what happens? You are very happy. I was very happy because he did find someone. You know, sometimes when we live overseas and we call somebody back in America and ask them to help us, bang iga mang, sometimes they say, oh yeah, okay, and they don't do anything. But my friend Alden, he did do something. I was delighted, 好高兴, when he said, go ahead, we have a young couple, 年轻的这个夫妇, okay? Jim and Sherry, their names were Jim, 这个是男的, Sherry 是女的, and they are willing to go to Taiwan for 2 years. Whoa. This young couple, Jim and Sherry, they are willing to go to Taiwan for 2 years. Oh, wow, that's great. 2 years. Nowadays, usually you only get a volunteer. 他们是义务的. Of course, we gave them a little money, 生活津贴, but we didn't really give them a salary, 没有薪水. So, why would a person want to do that? That's a good question. Go ahead. Jim was about to begin his last year in college, preparing to be a teacher. Okay. He was preparing to be a teacher. 正在准备做老师. And he was about to begin his last year. That means he has already studied in college 3 years. Now he is about to begin 快要开始 the last year, 最后一个学年. Okay? The last year of college going on. But his schooling had been so hectic. What does hectic mean? Well, let's take a look at it. His schooling, 他上学, 他读书啊. He's very, very bright. Even though he's now an older man, he is finishing up his doctorate. 他正在完成他博士学位. A very smart person. His schooling then, we're talking though, what are we talking? We're talking 40 years ago, almost, okay? It had been so hectic that he was in the throes of full-scale burnout. Whoa! Look at all those words. First of all, throes. Throes means 在痛苦中，在痛苦中啊。The throes of, he was in the throes of, 他正在痛苦中啊。Okay, full scale, 完完全全的I translated this 身心疲惫。身 that's his body, 心 his mind, 疲惫疲劳的不得了，疲惫。Okay, now he was in the throes of full-scale burnout. Have you ever had burnout? Burnout. You can get 身心疲惫. You can get burnout almost anytime, anywhere, doing any work. So a lot of people experience burnout. And when you do, you need to rest. If I have some time, I'll talk about burnout in just a minute. But here, let's go and finish up our lesson. It had been so hectic, 忙碌 that he was in the throes of full-scale 他就得了这个全身心的疲惫. I mean, he is not doing well. When he and Sherry heard about this opportunity, 当他们听到这个机会, they jumped at it. What does it mean to jump at it? It simply means 他就接受了. Jumped at it, 当然跳向某一个东西. You cannot, in English, many times, you cannot directly translate. 表面上没意思的. They heard about the opportunity and they jumped at it. That means they accepted it. 他这乘着机会. Very simply, they took up the opportunity. So it was that Jim and Sherry came to southern Taiwan. They came to southern Taiwan. I'll be telling a few stories about Jim. We called him Uncle Jim and Aunt Sherry. So we told him stories about Jim and Sherry going on. Since Jim was specifically trained in education. Okay, what does that mean? He had specific, 他是专门的学教育. Okay, this is his area, 专门学教育. I asked him to teach English in the high school, at the high school. 在这个中学，我是校长, okay? I asked him to teach English at the high school, which was good because he was an educator, 教育家. Okay, even though he hadn't finished his school, his mother was a 大学教授, so he had learned much from his mother. Going on, and Sherry taught our son John his first and second grades. Okay, first grade, second grade, she taught both of those. 小学一年级 二年级. And it was a great racial. Okay. It was a great racial. Why? 这个比率是最好的。比率是最好。Why? The ratio was 1 teacher, 1 student. In fact, when I was studying Chinese, I had 1 teacher, and my teacher had 1 student. It was 1-to-1, EBE. Okay, so this is great. Okay, now in this lesson, we don't have much time left, but I'll spend a few minutes here. In this lesson, we have talked about getting burnout, 得了那个身心疲惫. Okay, how do you solve that? Well, first of all, sometimes you have to just take a rest. Maybe sometimes 换这个新的环境. Sometimes you need to get more sleep. You're not getting enough sleep. Sometimes, in fact, all of these things are good. You need to get more exercise. Exercise helps you to become stronger. 会帮助你的心情. It helps your mind be happy, 开朗 and open. So, these are ways to overcome burnout. But we don't have any more time. Maybe we can talk about that some more later. We do have an email address. It is theoldprinciple@gmail.com. And we have a website, www.theoldprinciple.org. Hey, it's been great to spend this time with you, and I hope that you will join me next time for another interesting lesson with Lao Xiaozhang. Until then, bye-bye.